Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is John Parkhurst. I'm the COO of the Rochester Broadway Theatre League. Today's a very special day for the board and the staff of RBTL. A day we started planning for back in the 1980s. Back then, with our partner Albert Nocciolino, we were renting this venue, booking one-night events, split-week events, anything we could to do shows in Rochester. Then in the 90s, we signed a management agreement to run the venue, book the venue, and then in 2004, we purchased half of this venue. During this time, the auditorium grew to become a big community asset and a large economic driver of downtown for downtown Rochester. Our goal then, and it remains so today, is quality entertainment, diverse programming, accessibility to all. Today, we're taking the next steps that hopefully will entertain the future generations. Entertaining today's audiences and inspiring tomorrow's entertainers is what we're all about. To hear about our project, I want to bring up our CEO, Chairman of the Board, and our friend, Arnie Rothschild.
It's a problem when John speaks, you got to lower the microphone next, so. I want to repeat, my name is Arnie Rothschild. The reason I need to repeat that is a lot of you have never seen me in a suit, and I don't want to cause any confusion. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge some people that are here. First of all, Bill Edwards, who is here, the district leader of the Monroe County Masons, of the Lodge of the Free and Accepted Masons of New York State. Bill, can you raise your hand where you are? Yep. To the media, you might have some questions about the history of this amazing venue, and he's the right guy. He has some time constraints, but I know he'll circle with you later. I also want to acknowledge the members of the board of directors of RBTL. If you just kind of wave. Thank you, everyone. Also, RBTL staff, the reason that this organization works. If all of you could, just kind of raise your hand back there. And three really key members, one of whom you've already met, of the staff. John Parkhurst, our Chief Operating Officer, Linda Glosser, our Executive Vice President, and Francine Brokaw, our Vice President of Finance. We are very appreciative of people that are here, including County Legislator Mifucci, thank you for being here. Also the members of the Ticket Sellers Union, the Stagehands Union, and the Wardrobe Unions. If you would please acknowledge that. And from members of this amazing, prestigious Garth Fagan Dance Company, Bill Ferguson, thank you, Bill. Also representatives of Blackfriar. Where are the people from Blackfriars? If you could, thank you for being here. And also Stages, and we're looking forward to expanding our working relationship with Stages and education programs, so the folks from Stages. Let me start by just saying, and I'm going to come back up here for more detail with the media later, but three important dates. The first was 1930. 1930, by the way, transition from Woodrow Wilson to Herbert Hoover being president, is a period of time when this building was constructed and then dedicated. Now you think about 1930, so this building was built immediately before the Great Depression. And when you look at what's in this building, and we've taken some photographs, and when you realize the quality of what the Masons did in building this, it is an incredible, incredible endeavor. And if we were to try to replicate some of the beautiful rooms that exist in this amazing structure, it would be, and this is not an exaggeration, but hundreds of millions of dollars. The second date was in 2003, as John spoke of, or excuse me, 2003 was a period of time in the community when when we began to look at the needs of the arts community, and in fact, a city-county task force was impaneled to take a look at what was needed to account for the arts in the long term, what was needed to allow the arts to prosper. And there was an inventory created in that period of time. A Broadway roadhouse suitable for popular entertainment, a dance available venue, a black box theater, and this bipartisan committee had identified all those needs years ago. And the last date is today, where we are here to announce that to fill all of those needs, that the Rochester Broadway Theatre League has entered into a contract to acquire the entire auditorium complex, to restore and renovate it beginning this summer. Before I move on, I would be remiss if I didn't share with everybody that when these conversations started 27 or 28 years ago, one person continuously was the champion of this site, who started every conversation we had for almost 28 years by saying the perfect site for the expansion of the arts in Rochester is in the neighborhood of the arts. And that person is here as well, Tom Judson of Pike Construction. Thank you for your wisdom. Okay, I want to clear up one point for the media before we even begin. For years, you've heard me talk about the fact that we needed a larger venue, a venue of 2,850 to 3,000 seats. Something changed in the industry. And that change was the impetus for getting us to today. That change was that the industry changed to something called dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing moves price up, not dissimilar from airline seats, as demand increases. So now this beautiful 2,464-seat venue will be, long-term, the solution to bring great entertainment to this town. And if you see ladders around here, it's because RBTL is currently doing a close to $1 million sound system upgrade in this room. So this is going to be Rochester's performance space, filling one of those needs. We're going to restore and renovate others. We'll speak more about that in a little bit. But before I want to move on to somebody, for those of you who don't know how government works or haven't paid attention, the way that a city really works is you elect a mayor, and the mayor then brings someone on board to run all of the moment-to-moment of the city. And so we're honored to have with us the Deputy Mayor of the City of Rochester, Patrick Cunningham.
Thank you, Arnie. Unfortunately, the mayor is out of town, and he's not getting back till later today, but I know he really wanted to be here. He wanted to be part of this terrific announcement, and to thank you, Arnie, and your staff and your board for your persevering through thick and thin to obtain this venue and delivering a true community-paced performance venue to Rochester. Thank you. The mayor will be a big advocate. The mayor has told me yesterday morning he's going to be a big advocate in Albany, and especially with Governor Hochul. The mayor is also supportive of arts in other ways. We have a renewed commitment to the arts. There's a program we have called the 1% program. In this program, we look at our capital budget, which is millions and millions, and we take 1% of that and set it aside to invest in the arts. This was a program that was dormant for many years, and the mayor has reopened it. We're talking about close to $250,000 last year. What we did earlier this year is we went to City Council, because up until we got this approval, all that money had to be spent on capital projects. You know, statues, benches, murals, things like that. but the City Council approved that we can now use those monies for performance art. So we hopefully, one of these days, we will be supporting a local organization, a not-for-profit, a small arts group in one of the new venues that is being renovated. Hopefully we'll do that soon. So once again, thank you to Arnie, to the staff, to the board, and to the supporters of the RBTL. We wish you the best of luck.
These things involved a lot of people advising us, helping us. And so I would like to introduce from Pike Construction, Tony DeGrossa, with some views of the venue. Thanks.
Morning, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Arnie and John and Linda and Andy. I think Andy back in the corner. We're very honored to have been chosen as a partner to help advise in the really the reestablishment of what's occurring in the neighborhood here. As you know, Pike Construction, just next door there, undertook a major expansion in anticipation of our 150th anniversary this year in anchoring and redeveloping the neighborhood, and we see this as a huge step in the right direction. Our assessment, as Arnie mentioned to you, is this venue is really second to none. You cannot go anywhere in the United States and find something of this magnitude and of this quality. The Masons are known for their expertise and their attention to detail. As such, we've been undertaking an initial assessment to be able to really start to understand how best to support the community and the arts in terms of what the building can and cannot accommodate. And I think right now, the first things first, and that is we're going to work on the accessibility and the adaptability for the community and for the public. As many of you know, it's not always the easiest to get in and out of this venue, so we want to try and address that as we move forward with everything. But again, very honored to have chosen our group, but more importantly, really look forward to what we can accomplish in terms of anchoring the neighborhood here. So, thank you.
So I'm about to get in trouble because Albert never likes it when I say this. But I don't care. So for 40 years, almost, yeah, approaching 40 years, the Rochester Broadway Theatre League has worked in concert with a man who is incredible in the Broadway industry. Was in fact the vice president of the road for the Broadway League. He's only won 7 Tony Awards. That's the line where I get in trouble, by the way. He is responsible for the incredible lineup that we're able to bring here. And so we couldn't stand here today celebrating what's going on without recognizing the unbelievable impact of the partnership that we have had with Albert Nocciolino. Albert?
No, I don't like it when he says that. You know, we have a word in Italian, finalmente, finally. As Arnie mentioned, we have been talking about this for so many years. And this is so exciting for all of us. Often we hear, John and I and the staff here from our road companies, and they stand on this stage and they look out at that theater, as Arnie mentioned, and it is the most intimate, truly and sincerely 2,400-seat theater in America. And they love playing here on this stage and looking out at that audience. So the idea that we are now going to preserve it, enhance it, and add to it is just unbelievable. You know, theaters are the heart of our urban cores. Art is commerce. Just a little over a week and a half ago, we had a show called Beetlejuice here. 20,000 people came through those doors. The economic impact, and use any equation you want to, was $3 or $4 million just that week. That is extraordinary, and that's what happens when you invest in the arts. And that's what we are doing here. We're going to invest in the arts by adding to the building and creating more spaces and providing more opportunities. But just as importantly, we're going to provide an experience for our customers they so deserve. We're going to enhance the patron amenities that they have when they come here, from the elevators and new doors and everything that will go with this renovation and restoration, and provide spaces for new arts groups and other arts groups that live and work in the community, provide education opportunities and collaborations, and everything that we've been talking about for many, many years. Selfishly, for those of us that do what we do every day here, the improvements are going to provide another opportunity. A few years ago, New York State passed something called the New York State Theater Tax Credit, where if you open a show in upstate New York, you're eligible for a tax credit. It mirrors the film industry. And we've been very fortunate to have a show here every year. But now with the additional spaces, the shows will be able to come and stay longer, because not only can they tech, they can rehearse. We'll have spaces for them to enhance and improve and increase their stay, which translates to economic impact. That means more hotel rooms, more meals, and more people staying here for longer periods of time. And that is going to happen with the addition of the building next door. So we are very, very excited about what's happening here at the Auditorium Theater. We are currently in the midst of one of our best seasons ever. So the timing couldn't be any more perfect. We enjoy the growth we've had, especially coming out of COVID. It's been extraordinary this year, and we look forward to continuing that move upwards, if you will. And in just a few weeks, we'll be announcing the M&T Bank Broadway season, so stay tuned for that. And now, speaking of M&T, it's my pleasure to introduce Regional Manager and Senior Vice President Bob Cheslika. Did I do that right? Perfect. Thank you.
Wow, good morning. What an exciting day. The arts play an important role in strengthening the fabric of our community and delivering a positive economic and cultural impact. They invite people to experience our city's beautiful and historic neighborhoods. The M&T Bank Broadway series has provided local audience with access to nationally and internationally renowned performances. We have laughed out loud, and we have been moved to tears on adventures around the world and throughout time by the tremendous power of the arts. M&T Bank is very proud of our long-standing support of the Rochester arts community and our more than 2-decade partnership with the Rochester Broadway Theatre League. It is because we believe in what the RBTL does, not only in presenting excellent productions that bring people together, but also in their commitment to education and community engagement that touches many thousands of people every year. M&T is here to support our community, and so is RBTL. It's a perfect match, and we congratulate the RBTL on taking the next steps. Thank you.
Hi, in spite of the suit, I'm Arnie Rothschild. Just some facts for you all to try to put this all in perspective. 20 of the last 21 years, the Rochester Broadway Theatre League has generated an operating surplus without government subsidy. 20 of the last 21 years, RBTL has generated a surplus without government subsidy. Our board, which is a fiduciary board, we have kind of a mantra that says nose in, fingers out. You're not involved with programming. We have, without question, the best board in upstate New York in any not-for-profit setting, so thank you to all of them. We are not financing this purchase. Out of our cash reserves, we are paying for the purchase. The purchase price you will see down the road was $2.4 million. We are paying it and closing quickly so we can begin the process of not only working with the state, but renovations that we want to get in place. When we do renovations, by the way, as John has pointed out to me, the summertime will be the best time to do it because it'll be outside of the time when the building is under heavy use. So we have some time stipulations to hit. We are going to be talking to naming rights sponsors, both for the aggregate, complex, theater, and down the road, other spaces. We are going to, if you come in the theater entrance and go through where the magnetrons are, because Tony spoke to this, there is no way for people with difficulty moving around to get to the second or third level of this venue. One of the two elevators has been inoperable for a number of years. It's the one closest to the magnetrons. One of our first projects, as quickly as we can acquire an elevator, will be to install a brand new elevator to bring people that need to go higher in the venue up there comfortably. We are reviewing, and again, Tony walked up to this, accessibility, convenient drop-offs, how we're going to go about the restoration and renovation. When you look at these visuals that were taken just last week in parts of the building, this is an incredible structure, and I would believe that virtually no one in this room even knew these places existed. The quality of workmanship that the Masons put into this was just beyond belief, just beyond belief. And so, by the way, if you look at the theater portion as you're driving up Main Street, you'll notice that the doors are brass doors that have all been refinished. Well, all the way around the complex, you're going to see a bunch of dark green doors that are also brass doors that have gone without refinishing over the years. Out in front of the building, you'll see 4 or so stanchions that are also brass. And so if you can imagine, as we begin to do this incredible restoration on Main Street, bright brass doors, a venue in good repair, we will, for the first time, control parking all the way around. We will enhance patron amenities. We will develop new spaces for corporate entertaining. We will make this an absolute jewel in our community. And to those people in the, with both historic and preservation questions, we will be the right entity to ensure that this is done in the appropriate and right and professional way. So the next step is, once we finish the first phase of the environmentals, we're going to close right away. Because we bought the theater portion, and John pointed out to me it was 19 years ago tomorrow that we entered into the agreement to buy the theater portion, that we're off to the races. This is going to be a 6-year renovation and restoration project. Our goal is for the 100th anniversary of the dedication of this venue is to have completed the renovation and restoration. As I said, it was dedicated in 1930. In 2230, it'll be 100 years. And I promise you that this organization is geared up to work really hard. We have already been to Albany. We have the support of the delegation. Deputy Mayor, thank you so much, and we appreciate the support of the mayor as well and the city administration. I walked into a meeting yesterday, by the way, to make sure that the president of city council was aware of what we were doing, and I said, I'm going to start this meeting in kind of a strange way. We're not asking for anything. We're not here asking for money. We are here to tell you what we're doing. And it was interesting because everybody in the room breathed a sigh of relief. However, we are going to work with the state delegation. In our initial funding concept, we're going to do the first stage of renovation and restoration will be about $12 million. We will raise $6 million through the sale of naming rights and other programs here. We're hopeful to get the cooperation of the delegation and the governor's office for the other $6 million over 2 or 3 budget cycles. We have employed a prestigious lobby firm to work with us, and we're getting advised well, and we're going to work really hard to make this a reality. So here we are. If you can imagine an arts group with an education mission that puts 5,000 or so kids through education programs every year, saying, okay, it's time for us to invest in our city in a way that no arts group has ever done in the past. And so here we are, and we're very proud to be here. Any questions I can answer? Well, the two things. The first things is John has a lot of expertise in this. The first things we're going to do are in the lobby area. Even as you look at that staircase, it is an open staircase that's been enclosed. By the way, virtually every stair in this complex is marble. You know, that's the kind of workmanship that was here. And then there also are a number of tenants that are in the complex, and we're not going to dislodge any. What we're going to do is, as their leases expire, we'll explore whether we can move them to another space if we need their space. Fortunately, the Cathedral Room, which is the first and the largest available, and you'll see the Cathedral Room here. The Cathedral Room lease expires in June, so we'll immediately pivot and start to take a look at that in addition to what we're going to do downstairs. A few years ago, and John, remind me, how many years ago did we widen the hall for handicap accessibility? About 8 years ago. Yeah, we widened the hall going out towards the parking lot. We're first going to have to look at, Natalie, all of those things that make this a more comfortable and accessible venue. And then we'll pivot to the spaces, and then we will continually, space by space, do the improvement. The other part of your question is, we're going to need experts to help us do this the right way. When you're dealing with the restoration of what will be a 100-year-old venue, you need to do it the right way. Now, the good news is, and Friday on this stage, Senator Cooney did a press conference talking about a program for historic theaters around the state, a consortium of 13 theaters in upstate, and an ask in the state budget of this cycle for $20 million on an annual basis to keep these historic theaters in good repair. So we're hopeful that that advances. In the meantime, this one is our baby. So we will be briefing the media and the community constantly on the next stages of what we're going to be doing. The first thing is we're going to get to closing within the next month or so after the environmental, and then we'll plot out, with the help of the folks at Pike and Labella Engineering, each step along the way. And we also take pride in, and we're going to use local contractors and suppliers whenever possible, just as we work with our union partners in operating this venue between the stagehands and wardrobe, and these are all important jobs as well for our community. Yeah, so let's back up. I said earlier, initially we started with the assumption that we needed 2,850 to 3,000 seats. If there's a good moment in time that happened, and that is that the industry changed their pricing model, we don't need it. It always has been more cost effective to build or renovate this, but it wasn't necessarily practical given it's about 2,500 seats. The industry changed, fortunately, and that was the impetus to our looking at the rest of the complex. Initially, about 20 years ago, we looked at that concept as well, but we didn't think that we were going to be able to acquire it. Parcel 5 was a conversation about, and it was actually Renaissance Square first, Parcel 5, and then the Riverside Hotel. In each of those situations, community priority changed. The Renaissance Square was the joint venture with the Transit Authority, the city, county, and that went through its own process. Parcel 5 became a question of some people in the community wanting it to be green space. The hotel deal that the city approached us with required that the state would come up with the money to take down the hotel and clean up the site. And then as they looked further into what was on the site, they realized that the bones, if you will, of that building were fine and they didn't need to do it. So we had two options. Option one was pray that this was going to work, and then the prayers were answered and the pricing changed. The pricing seats changed. The other option was to move out of the city. And we have never wanted to move out of the city. We have always wanted, if we could, to remain in downtown. We think we belong in downtown. If you take a look at the impact in the restaurants at Village Gate, when we're doing shows, it's really dramatic. So this is where we've always wanted to be, if we could figure out how to make it work. We went through, by the way, a moment in time when we said, well, what if we extend the balcony 2 or 3 rows towards the stage? Can we pick up extra seating? We've gone through drill after drill after drill. We now have the answer. And so this is going to be our home, and we're going to restore it and renovate it to be Rochester's pride of downtown. We're going to want this to be the place that people take visitors in addition to the Pittsford Wegmans. Other questions? We appreciate it. Thank you, everybody up here. Thank you, all of you who came to support. A board, thank you so much. Staff, you are the greatest. And thank you.